Hello, my beautiful, lovely people. Welcome back. This is part 2 of my new updated bookshelf tour. This is actually my second bookshelf. If you missed the first part to this video where I showed you around and toured my first bookshelf there, maybe go back and check that one out. Not that it matters, you can watch it after this one, but I thought it would be better by the end of that one to split it into two, as that shelf took over half an hour. So we're back with now my second shelf, so we'll get right into it. The top shelf, like my other shelf, has some trinkets. This one has this black, I guess it's glass, skull that is meant for Halloween, but I keep it up all year round. This cute Harry Potter, Hedwig, snow globe, and this Harry Potter candle. That looks like the golden snitch. So this shelf is, I was gonna say very much, but no, it's really all fantasy, dystopian, that kind of thing, which, since it takes up one shelf, is pretty much my favorite. So starting here, there are these two books here. These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends. I was explaining in the first part that I'm a big sucker for, book talk, famous books, or Instagram books, and I usually end up getting them, but I can't keep up with them all. So I have many books. I love collecting books, so I haven't yet read these. Next, all these bookends. I have two of them. They're a terracotta, but sparkly, and they're the cutest things. I want more. So these next two books, I'm going to switch to my other hand. The Invention of Hugo Cabret, in the second book called Wonderstruck. These are a bit older. They're interesting books because they're really just photos, or not photos, but it's almost like a big picture book. Look, it's so pretty. We open it. See, there are some words, but I think half of it is pictures. Really pretty. It's an interesting book to read, but would recommend. Close that up. And see if we can slide it back in. Go. Now we get to some classics. The Lord of the Rings trilogy. I have read the first two books in The Lord of the Rings. I really need to finish it and read the third. But there are just so many books on my TBR list, it's crazy. And then we have The Hobbit and the Game of Thrones books. These books are so big. usually one who will read a book before I watch the movie or the show, but unfortunately I watched the show before I even got the books, and I loved the show, so now I need to at some point dive into the books. They're just so long. Okay, the next shelf. Give you a little scan. So this series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, I started reading last year, near the end of 2022. Oh my gosh, guys, I absolutely fell in love with this series. Amazing. So the main series was these 4 books, and then I think just last year, Sarah J. Maas, the author, released this 5th book, A Court of Silver Flames. I've read the first 3, and then I paused for a bit to read some other books, but I'm gonna go back and read the last 2 soon, I think. So good. I know some people who don't like it because it's the first book anyways is sort of an adaptation on Beauty and the Beast. You know, there's a beast and he takes her in by not her choice, and ends up, you know, falling in love with the beast, that sort of thing. But I will be honest, I did not get that. After reading the book is when I was reading reviews on it. People were like, it's just a horrible, you know, take on the Beauty and the Beast story. But legit, I didn't even realize that while reading it. I don't know if I'm just dumb, but after reading the reviews, I was like, oh yeah, I guess it is, but I didn't realize that. And I love the series. So good. I completely fell in love with the characters. And these 2 books are also by Sarah J. Maas, for a different series, Crescent City. I need to read those as well. And then these 3 books are special editions of Game of Thrones. I have the first 3. I'm not sure if the second or the last 2 books are even out in this edition yet, but they're very pretty. And this is a book also by George R.R. Martin, Fire and Blood. I think this came out last year as well. And then I have this series. I believe it's called the Cinder series, maybe. This is not the original covers of the books, but I like these covers so much better. I think they're really cool. So this one, I haven't read them yet. My sister has, and she really enjoyed them. But you can probably tell, like, Cinderella, Scarlet. Shoot, what would Scarlet be? Would that be Beauty and the Beast? I'm not sure. Let me know if you do know, though. Cress, I think, is Sleeping Beauty. Look at how pretty the art is. Oh no, that would be Rapunzel. Look at those locks. And Winter. Let's see who this is. Which princess? I'm not sure. Again, let me know if you know. And then Fairest. I'm gonna guess that that's Sleeping Beauty. I mean, Snow White. Yeah. Oh, that's creepy. Oh, sorry. It's called The Lunar Chronicles. Not the Cinder, whatever I said. And then Stars Above is the last one. Pretty. Very pretty. I really want to read these two. And then the last books on this shelf is a trilogy. These books I am also obsessed with the covers. I'm a big sucker for book covers. So this one, A Discovery of Witches, then Shadow of Night, and the Book of Life. So these are all part of the All Souls trilogy. I have to show you these as well. I don't know what it is with these covers, but they just really caught me. Apparently, it is now an original series on AMC. I didn't know that. So there's that one. And this one, look how cool that is. It's so like, is it 80s? I think very 80s, but it's a new series. And the last one, cool, so shiny. Okay, let's move on to this shelf. Another sneaky peeky. This is my dystopian future shelf, or most of the dystopian books are on this shelf. And if you don't know what the dystopian future genre is, it's basically books set in the future on Earth, or I guess maybe not on Earth, after the apocalypse happens, and then sort of where humanity ends up, you know, like, so the apocalypse has happened and humankind has to come back from that. So dystopian is kind of what life looks like way into the future. So this series is the Maze Runner. I think there are only 4 in this. This book, so the first one, The Maze Runner, amazing. Loved it, read it super quick, absolutely loved this first book. Super original. It is kind of about a maze. And then there's these creatures in it. It follows this boy through the maze, and then he ends up living with this other kind of group of kids. Absolutely loved the first book, and then I got to the second book, The Torch Trials, and I got, honestly, probably only a few chapters in. I don't even know if it made it a quarter way through. It just kind of lost me, sadly to say. It was very different from the first one, and I couldn't do it. So maybe one day I'll try to go back to it. And then we have classic, The Hunger Games. These sound really good. So you have the original trilogy, and then the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is about President Snow as a child. This book I had pre-ordered and read right away. I think it came out a couple of years ago. Maybe even 2020, actually. Moving on, there's a couple series here. We'll start with this one, The Handmaid's Tale, which is a pretty famous book by Margaret Atwood. This, I believe, is a different cover. I don't believe this is the original cover. But again, I very much enjoyed this book. There's only 2 books in this series. The first one, let's see when it came out. I can't seem to tell. Weird. Does it say here? I don't think it does. Those are poems. I know this is like not super old, but older. What the heck? Okay. Anyways, the second book, The Testaments, came out a few years ago, a lot longer after this. That's what we're trying to get at. Both really good. I've read them both. Oops. And then we have Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant. Ooh, that sounds really good. That's fun. These covers sound thicker. So this is the Divergent series, or a trilogy. They were also movies, like The Hunger Games was. Kind of similar to The Hunger Games, but not really, just in the fact that they kind of, had, factions where they live. But love this series. And the last series I have on my Dystopian shelf is The Darkest Minds. This series I have not read at all, so I can't say much about it. They're very pretty. Yeah, I think these are movies too. Okay, next shelf. A little sneak peek. I'll show you this frame first. Let's get it out of the way. This is obviously from Friends. I love it. Just pop it down there. Could probably stay there actually. So this shelf is a mix of dystopian and also kind of classic fantasy and a couple different kinds of fantasy. So the first series here is, I'm not sure what this series is called, but the first book is Red Queen. This last book is a big boy. I'm not exactly sure what this series is about, but I was recommended it by someone, so I got it. I'm easily convinced when it comes to books. My sister has read, I don't think she's read the whole series, but she borrowed my books, which is why this cover is a little bent out of shape. But I love books being worn in and loved, so I don't have an issue with that. Even the covers. The next trilogy here is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is another kind of, book talk series that got popular, so I just had to get it. And I do wish the first book was hardcover, so I'll probably end up getting it in hardcover just to match. But look at how pretty it is. All like shiny. Lovely. I've seen a lot about this series on Instagram, so I think this might be one that I read fairly soon. Next is also a trilogy. I found out about this trilogy the same as these ones through Instagram and TikTok. The Inheritance Games. And like The Cruel Prince, the first one is softcover. Don't get mad at me. Some people get so upset and can't stand it when books in a series, one or some of them, is softcover where others are hardcover, and I totally get it. But it's not the biggest deal in the world for me. Sure, it would look nicer if they matched, but if mine aren't matching, it's because either one of them wasn't available or it was cheaper. Okay. Next series is called The Inheritance Cycle. There are 4 books in this series, and each one is a little bigger than the last. I love that. This is an older series. I haven't read it yet, but it was really popular, I think, when I was in elementary school. Okay. Dragons. So cool. I love dragons. Excuse me, my shoulder just cracked. And a red dragon. I love these. They look so, just kind of, there is a dragon there, but they look so unassuming until you look at the cover. Bam! Super cool dragon. And the last one is, a green dragon. Ooh, I think I like this one the best. Okay, the next series is another trilogy. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I'm pretty sure these are dystopian. I haven't read them, but they have been broken in because I thrifted this series. That's why this one looks so different from these two. I actually thrift a lot of books. It's a really good way to find books. You can get them really cheap. Where I go a lot of the times, I just go to a Value Village, and they usually have buy 5 books for $10 or something like that. And they actually do have newer books, sometimes even brand new books that have never been touched before. And then finally, the Twilight series. I'm not sure why that was sticking out so much. You can't have a bookshelf without Twilight, am I right? Don't ask me where the cover to this one went. I don't know. second last bookshelf. I'm gonna sit on the floor now. So these last two shelves are not quite complete yet, which is actually good. That means I don't need to buy another whole shelf for hopefully a little bit. So I have some room to expand. So this next shelf is a little bit all over the place. This book, Plain Bad Heroines, is a book I actually got at one time at Indigo. Sometimes they have, I forget what it's called, Blind Date with a Book, I believe it's called, where books are wrapped up in, like a wrapping paper or something. And there's kind of a brief description of the book on the cover, so you don't know exactly what you're getting, and I find them super fun. So that's how I got this book. And a couple words to describe this book were Victorian and something about vampires, which intrigued me, so I got it. And I believe I read half of it, but it was taking me a while to read it, and then I kind of fell out of it. Not that I wasn't enjoying it, but I would like to finish it one day, but I would have to start again. This book is another one by J.K. Rowling. It's called The Ichabod. This one I haven't read, but from what I've taken from it, it's more of a children's book. Unlike The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling that I showed in part 1, that I have read and is very adult. Then this book called Halo, just a random one, don't know what it's about. The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek. I have read this. It's written by Rhett McLaughlin and Link Neal, who, if you recognize those names, are the hosts of a very popular YouTube show called Good Mythical Morning. They wrote this novel, and yeah, it's definitely more for kids. It was cute, but yeah, a little kiddish, which, judging by the cover, you wouldn't really think that, but it is. It's about kids who are kind of based off of famous children, but it was cute. These ones, the first one was made into a movie. I don't remember loving the movie, but I did love the books. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. That's the first one, and the second one. And I believe the pictures used on the cover and inside the book are real photos, and then the books were kind of written around these real, like, old photos. At least I think so, and they're really cool. Then I have a couple editions of the first Harry Potter book and the second one. These are kind of special editions of them that I've had forever. Magic edition. I don't know where or when I got them. Then a few random books. Shadow in the Ember. This, I think, was another kind of book talk book. The Magician's Nephew, which is the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia series. I'm not sure why I have just the first one. And this here is my Kindle. Oh, low battery, yeah. was gonna say, I haven't used it in like a year. Oh, it sounds so good though. I actually read a lot just on my phone because I can access, there's the Kindle app on my phone and I can read all my books on there. So when I'm at work, sitting at my office, it's easier to sneakily read off of my phone rather than having my Kindle out. And this is another bookend, the other one to the one we saw up top. Love them. And this frame again. And then a few sneaky books over on this end. This one, Among the Beasts and Briars. First of all, just a beautiful cover, which is the main reason I got it, not gonna lie. And also, oops, another a YouTuber I watch, actually a gaming YouTuber, likes to read, and she had bought this book one time, so I got it as well. Let's fix this. Okay, then the last two books here, The Whispering Dark and The Depths. I was a part of another monthly book subscription thing that I got these two in, but it was just too expensive, so I'm already in a couple others, so, but those are from them. Then the last couple shelves here, I have this series. These are my high school yearbooks. And then this City of Bones series, which I know was popular years ago. I started to read the first one, like in high school. And then a couple other books by the same author. So good. Let's see how the back of the shelf sounds. Not bad. And finally, I have some manga, which I love as well. I need to get some more, actually. Oh, here is the older one, of course. I haven't actually unpacked my Harry Potter books yet, but they will be going on this shelf once I do. This book, Elven Lied, I don't think I've read this one yet, so I'm not sure what it's about. This series, Orange, I have read this series. Oh my gosh, it is so sad. It's based around suicide, so if that triggers you or bothers you, maybe don't read this series, but it is amazing. Really, really, really good. And then I have Death Note, the all-in-one edition. I don't know why I did that, because it's massive. And then a couple one-offs. I Married My Best Friend to Shut My Parents Up. Haven't read that. Happy Sugar Life. I have read that. Don't really remember it. And this one, The Sad Ghost Club. Look at this. How cute is this? I'm obsessed with ghosts. I think they're so cute. And this is just the cutest thing ever. I saw it and had to get it. There's a second one now, I think, which I have to get as well. Okay, so this video somehow is longer than part one. I'm not sure how that happened, but it has. So I'm gonna really quickly show you a little mini shelf I've started right here. So this is gonna have some more books on it, but for right now it just has these four. I put these four here so you can see the pages of them, because look, they are beautiful. display. These are part of or from the second book of the month club that I'm subscribed to called Fairyloot. What is this? I just get their books. They have another box, you know, that comes with some knickknacks and things, but I get just the book. And they're all special editions of books. So they're gorgeous. The pages are beautiful, and most of the time, or I think all the books that I've got so far, you get a letter from the author, and they're even signed by the author, like the books themselves. So really, really cool. Anyways, that is going to be it from me. I'm glad I split this up into 2 videos. Let me know if you've enjoyed, if you've made it this far. That is so amazing. I hope you've enjoyed the video and or have fallen asleep to it. That would also be equally as good. I love you all so much. Thank you, and I'll see you